it seems I've got to put a little disclaimer at the beginning of this video. YouTube is denying any and all uploads on both channels. The playlist selection, gone. There's nothing to put. As creating a new playlist, also, it just, nope, nothing, gone. And when it was taking too long to process, I then went to go publish so that I can go on and do other things. Yeah, well, it's disabled. Isn't that nice? I can't publish the video and just wait for YouTube to get around to finishing. They have purposely kept me from posting videos without any kind of punishment of crime or violation of policy. They just shut it down altogether. Now, I don't know if others are having the same problem. It doesn't look like it. There's a site where I can go to check to see how many people are reporting problems. There was 400, 500 during the time I tried to upload. That's relatively small. I was able to upload this morning when we had over 800 problems on YouTube, apparently. So I'll try again later tonight. I'll keep trying day after day. If it becomes like tomorrow and it's still not available, yeah, they've purposely banned me from YouTube. So, if I am able to get this up tonight or sometime in the future, and the warning preparation that I give you in this video makes your preparation less, you know who to blame. Travis Wingoodsell. Can you believe some dumbass thought that his counter-argument to my channel and the videos exposing the church for their lies, deceptions, and crimes was to say that my script is terrible? Literally. I couldn't believe it. It was on the Back Off Jesse Kwaku. That video, long time ago, that was back in the days of when I was getting hundreds of views. It's almost up to 900 I saw, as I banned that guy from my channel. I don't do scripts, guys. No script, nothing, no. I've got notes, no script. I am talking with you. This is YouTube. This is not me making professional videos. Dear God, how could he not understand that? This is all off the cuff of my head. That's it, that's all. And so yes, you will find errors, and I've told you that the errors that I make often are because my mind is shooting off way into the future as my lips are still trying to catch up. And so I might talk about the Civil War when I meant the Revolutionary War. You know, stuff like that. Or say Joseph Smith instead of Brigham Young, you know. That's because my mind is already thinking about other things, and that's why I often go off into tangential directions, is because of that very same process. And so if I forget, it's not forgetting, it's just I moved on and I was too slow to get that other information out before I veered off. So I'm still waiting for the woman who wanted to date me. She said love to date me. I'm still waiting for you to reply to my reply. Too much insecurity in our lives, as we're so afraid of rejection, as we hide. We're not able to show ourselves because they might not like our appearance. I might be too fat in the belly. God, what the church did to me is taking a very long time to get rid of. And yes, the church did that to me. And if you're wondering, I've got some grays, as you can tell by now. That's only because of my age. My brother, completely gray on his mission. So, I was inspired today on my weekly journey, as this week I was interested to see that there were more people still concerned about keeping masks on, whereas in my local area nobody cares. They've all given up. Yeah, okay, it's all gone, everything's fine now, we can stop wearing masks. What the CDC did, dear God, was the dumbest thing in the world. No, you wait till it's all clear. You don't do a gradual. That's dumb, stupid. And as a result, those 9 players on that one baseball team. Oh, that's just an anomaly. Those anomalies that got us in the trouble in the first place. See, Utah only has 400,000 that got infected so far to date. Only 400,000. Just they've passed 400,000. And there's over 3 million in Utah. 3,000 of the 3 million died. And so you think, oh, okay, there's no problem. No. People stayed away from other people. Utah does that normally. Stay away from me. I'm calling the cops. They're invading my personal bubble space. And it gave people an excuse not to go to church. Woo, yeah! Oh, can't go to church, coronavirus. And yet, church was the super spreader this whole time. And so, I realized that I should start helping people prepare for what is coming. Because the prophets aren't going to do it. But I have noticed, and I was supposed to do that and I didn't. I have noticed that the church, since my lawsuits, have been doing preparations to flee, to abandon the church and flee. I have insider information, not just because of the lawsuits, not just because I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew, which led to the decipherment of Egyptian petroglyphs, which led to the discovery that the Egyptian stories come from the Egyptian petroglyph translations, and that my research into church history, and I can go on and on. I have knowledge on the subject matter. It is not wise to think that my video is crap because it's not scripted, or that the audio is crap because they tried to have me assassinated. Again, this is not professional. This is just one-on-one, me talking with you. And YouTube needs to back off. But, so those few of you that are able to watch my video, there's a reason why the church, which is false, because I'm assuming the majority of you are not Mormon, as much as I'm desperately trying to get through to Mormons, it's clear they're too hard-hearted, past-feeling, stiff-necked, etc. They desire evil and call it good, like Mr. Script Boy. He couldn't understand the simple concept of the video, leave Jesse alone. Anyway, the prophets are trying to flee. They know of what is coming. They don't know what will trigger it. That is interesting. Because they know it's coming, but they don't know what will trigger it. And my lawsuits were concerning enough to them that they thought that could trigger it. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to the United States news, during Trump, he purposely tried to trigger Democrats to fight. Physically fight to defend America, and they wouldn't. And as a result, Trump destroyed our Constitution, allowed white supremacists to rise up in violent acts, and to commit human atrocities. Now that Democrats are in full control, guess what? They're not removing all of the MAGA from our society. It's a slow process. The judges are releasing all of those who were indicted for January 6th. We still have yet to see Trump locked up in an orange jumpsuit. See the problem here. By not doing this, Democrats are now stuck to do anything else, because they only got 2 votes where they didn't need those extra 10 Republicans. But oh wait, there's that Manchin guy, that Democrat Manchin, Senator Manchin, who wants to be an ass. And so things aren't getting passed as they need to. Supreme Court is now hearing Roe versus Wade. Uh-oh. Trump purposely put in those 3 specific judges because they want to overthrow Roe versus Wade. Yeah. Uh-oh, women. So if you don't understand, because you're a conservative for some reason, conservatives think it's okay to rape women and hold them hostage as sex slaves and sex traffic them. You know, Matt Gaetz stuff, Trump stuff, that I can't remember his name now. It's been so long. He's been dead. As he murdered himself in jail, killed himself in jail. Suicide. Although there were the rumors. Jeffrey Epstein. There it is. And then Harvey Weinstein. He got punished. But I think that was it. A lot of celebrities got destroyed. But overall, the main actors pretty much have so far gotten away with it. So, yeah, that's conservatives. They don't care about women. And yet, they laugh because they get women to be suckers and losers to be their spokespeople. You know, like that Green woman. Is it Margaret or Marjorie Taylor Greene? And that new woman who replaced the Cheney woman. Yeah. See, Mia Love showed Trump no love. Remember that? Yeah, after Trump did that, Mia all of a sudden was woke. Oh no, I had no idea. Trump calling your homeland a bleep hole? And you had no idea? Even after I told you that he was calling your country a bleep hole and that you should oppose him. Good riddance. So yeah, great concerns. So now that I've done an introduction, something's coming. I've told you the Book of Mormon is coded. In the Book of Mormon, in Ether, it talks about, at this time, a civil war is going to break out. A big, major war. So, Jerusalem, that's a distraction. Specifically designed to split up Democrats and to rage and get angry to expose their anti-Semitism against the Jews. And thus, the conservatives will rise up, MAGA, and utterly destroy Democrats from the face of the earth. Don't think they're going to hold back when they get into power again. Don't think that they won't wait for a weakness to physically attack. Now, I told you that the 26th, next Wednesday, next week, there's a lunar eclipse. That's for religion. I'm still very frustrated that we're closing in before Scott, because Scott was 8 days, which today, 8 days, before the final lunar eclipse, which was a tetrad. All the rest of them were, you know, at least 2, if not 3 weeks. Monson was 4 weeks, exactly 29.4 days. As he had extra signs in the heavens from the scriptures to coincide with his death. That's why I made sure to put them over onto my Travis Wayne Goodsell channel that I put on my TWG channel. Because I wanted to make sure that as many people hear my videos as possible, despite the opposition from YouTube, in support of the church, to protect the church and their crimes. And so, as the church is planning on fleeing, and wouldn't you know it, there's a parable by Joseph Smith in section 101, starting in verse 43 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Guess who the servants of the nobleman are? prophets, because I have insider information on this. That's why I've told you in other videos. We all understood when I was in this insider position that the church office building is that tower in that parable. And interestingly, it was as short as it is. It was intended to be larger, but the certain apostle was rejected as he put the church in debt again, as he called it an investment for the church. I did that video too. I think it was on the TWG channel. Maybe. I put the links for both in case you guys get confused in the home page so that you can figure it out. And so even with the April conference, 20 temples, I wonder how many of them have non-extradition conditions. Brazil does if they defect. Oh wait, we have one apostle who's already Brazilian. Huh. Well, if he goes to Brazil, he can't be extradited to America for crimes. Huh. You see what's going on? I see it, but getting it through to you without my script. You have to exercise faith unto researching what I'm talking about. So they always have other plans, just like Trump. He had plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That was his method. He wrote about it in The Art of the Deal. That's exactly what he does. He told us what he would do as president, and he did it. And Democrats are going, oh no, oh, we never saw this coming. What do we do? Dear God. And so, what do you need to prepare for? Well, Ether says civil war, as I brought up. There's also a situation in 1 Nephi chapter 7 where we are at the point where King Jacob loses the election. The majority vote of the people said, no, we don't want King Jacob. Hey, we now know it's 2020. Because remember, the Book of Mormon is not a history. Remember, it's coded. And so we see in 1 Nephi chapter 7 that the United States of America will split up into states. Jacob tells his loyalists, hey, when I become king, all of you will become leaders of your own territories. If you do not understand about the founding of the United States as the colonies, that's what Britain did. They sent over people. They put people in charge. If you saw Mel Gibson's The Patriot, the one evil military leader guy who was in a James Bond movie. I don't think he was Bond. Was he? Or was he the villain in the Bond movie? Timothy Dalton. I don't think, was it Timothy Dalton in that movie? Or was it the villain from the Timothy Dalton Bond movies? Anyway, regardless. He was promised that if he kills the ghost, Mel Gibson, and squashes the rebellion and they win the Revolutionary War, that he would get his own tract of territory to be in charge of. That's how they did things in England, and that's how they wanted to do things in America. And didn't happen, did it? But that's what King Jacob is telling his loyalists. And it happens with the rest of the nation anyway, as they divide into what's called tribes instead of states. And so we've got that coming up. So that's why when we were going through the election, I was doing those videos, it would be on TWG, about the divided America, and going over what would happen in a civil war, because I knew a civil war was coming, just not sure when. And it didn't happen after the election, but we did see the division in America. Which states are conservative, which states are Democrat, in the majority. And so then I went over how we would get eastward if Utah was in civil war, because Utah is pretty much cut off. You'd have to go up into Canada and down through Idaho for conservatives to get supplies and stuff to Utah, because there's a Democrat wall in between the two conservative parts. And the Democrat parts may be in the biggest of the civil wars, as the conservative states will just implement authoritarian rule and slaughter all of opposition. But yeah, that's what you need to be prepared for if there's some kind of a war. We know that with January 6th, they're ready and willing to do it. It's just they're now waiting for the signal from somebody, anybody, to do it. They're already preparing and fortifying again. They were already prepared and fortified for January 6th. They just didn't go all the way through with it because they thought that it wasn't ordered to do so. As you listen to those cell phone videos. But they knew the blueprints. They knew the people that they needed to get. Even Mike Pence. And we saw that Mitt Romney was almost assassinated. Mitt Romney's still being an ass. But the parable in section 101 is different in that the prophets flee, but the war does still come. So we're seeing war in all three passages, because the enemy, as it's called, comes into Utah and destroys Utah. And that's us here in Utah. Isn't that great? Are you sure you're concerned about me having a script? Or do you actually believe what you claim that I don't? See, Mormons, they don't believe. Their own scriptures, they don't believe it. They make up other excuses not to believe. And here I am, the one outcast. Remember, Ether 13. I have been outcast, and yet I'm the believer. But the Book of Mormon's code, not a real history. I'm a believer, I couldn't leave her. That's the theme song for this video. I'm a believer. Okay. So, what do we prepare for? We don't know the direction it'll come from, and we don't know the size and scale of it. During the attack, if we are surrounded, we'll have to stay in place and hope it passes us by. And hope that the military and police forces actually protect us and are not in on it. If, however, they corral us to flee, the question is, are you prepared to take a single backpack or two and run? Are you prepared with a full tank of gas in your car whenever it happens? How far will that get you? That's another thing you need to consider. Because if we aren't able to take transportation, then God help all of you who aren't physically fit, all of you who are pregnant, all of you who have infants, children, toddlers, those with the elderly, those physically disabled. You see the tragedy we are facing in such an event. Because do those who are physically fit, do they leave those who aren't behind? Or do they get slowed down and thus all get slaughtered? There's going to be a test of our humanity during this. And so I hope you are prepared at least with a backpack. What do you need in it? First aid kit, change of clothes, some non-perishable, which boxed or canned, preferably not canned because that's heavier, and water. You have no choice on the weight on that. And if you do have to walk, how long is that going to last you? That needs to be taken into consideration. And so you'll have to prioritize. You'll have to decide whether your fashion wardrobe for every season will go, or your makeup. I know President Monson said women are ugly unless they have makeup. I disagree with him. And if you're a guy and you're saying, he never said that, yeah, talk to a Mormon woman my age. I was told very sternly that he said that. I personally don't like makeup. Have you ever tried eating makeup? Licking it? Tasting it? Ugh. Ban the makeup. And so, toiletries, hygiene stuff, you'll need to have something for that. Ideally, if you have a full backpack, you can put your tent or your tent and sleeping bag attached to the backpack. My Legos are essential. I gotta have the board game. See, that's going to be tough for me. I do have a little a dolly that converts into a cart, so I can use that. But if I need to run, that's going to slow me down. And so, documents, get them digitized. Family photos, you can digitize those so that they're not cumbersome. I dated a woman who had a whole room of shelves of scrapbooks, digitized them, and if you've got kids and such, you've got to consider their needs and other factors as well with other people. And so, yeah, it'll be ugly. But if it is a wave that comes through, destroys, and then it's a search and rescue mission situation, that'll be easier to handle, because then those of us who survive can look for survivors, do search and rescue operations, triages with first aid and that stuff, and then we can reevaluate what to do after that as to leaving. If that's the condition, that there's a destruction that sweeps through and then it's over, or if there's a situation where we can take vehicles to flee given a certain amount of time in advance. I have told you in previous videos, also at the end, as I'm now past 33 minutes, to get to the intersection of the 191 and the 70. It's down in the middle southern Utah. There's a Green River turnoff. There's a little country store there. Meet at that location, because then we can regroup, find out who's alive, and then carry on east. What other conditions? I don't know. So that is the initial plan, and unfortunately it's only those who are not Mormon and who are learning this information new for the first time, having believed their whole lives that Joseph Smith is a fraud. And so, Travis, what are you doing? What? Yeah, it's still the church is a fraud, but it was Brigham Young. So I'm trying to save as many people as I can. You know, Amos 3:7. Somebody needs to warn you, and it's not going to be Nelson. And so this is a little late in coming, obviously. I don't know when or it'll happen. It just, I gave you 3 witnesses in the scriptures of it happening, and happening this year. Because the prophets have their plans, and then they have contingencies unless somebody like me comes along to thwart them. Because they literally prepared, as we all were on pins and needles, waiting to find out if the judge was going to betray the church. And if you think that my lawsuits were frivolous and ridiculous, yeah, you go play with your own script. The church literally was afraid of me. They were afraid of what I knew and what I was exposing. That's why they were dismissed, is to prevent my information from getting into the public. Because all court cases are public. Russia was even watching. So I did that video showing that they were watching. So, yeah, that's why YouTube banned me on TWG, was because I came out and exposed the sex, slavery, and trafficking of the church that still is in place, and it's going to get worse when they get Utah as their own state for their kingdom. So, like I said, I have insider information. I've already gotten up to 37 minutes, and this was just to be the warning, what to do in case of an emergency. You know, make sure that the clothing you have is weather appropriate. Be aware in advance of the forecast, because if it rains later in the day after it happens and you don't have your jacket, I doubt we're going to have a freak snowstorm with a frost. But there was that one summer without a summer that destroyed Joseph Smith Sr.'s crops. But I don't know. I don't recall any volcanoes that would cause that this time around. So just be safe, be prepared. You know, the church used to do conference sessions about welfare and preparing for a year's supply. See, they knew it was coming, the coronavirus. And what do you know? Yeah, nobody was prepared for a year's supply of food for coronavirus, were they? I wasn't, because the church destroyed me. But yeah, they knew it was coming. And did you notice that they stopped those special sessions of conference? They stopped doing a general announcement warning. They just gave up over time. Less and less. Less and less was talked about it. Less and less was talked about it. And then you just get conference talks that says, oh, the second coming, we need to be prepared to meet the Lord. And it's all about a spiritual preparedness. Not anything about physical preparedness. And so the church, during this disaster requiring a year's supply of food, yeah, he comes out and says, oh, you guys have to suffer. You know, hey, you guys are wicked. And that's what you do when you're wicked, you suffer. Yeah, the church, yeah, we made $6 billion for 2020, but you guys get to suffer. We were prepared. We're the examples for you. You guys suck. You guys are suckers and losers. And so, yeah, isn't that great? And the church that was in position to help failed to help, because they then blamed the victims. That's conservative for you. So, alright. Flashlights, watches, if you can get solar powered, that would be better, because you won't need batteries. And so, yeah. A pocket knife, something. I don't like to talk about weapons, but if we're in a survival mode with a war, something's going to have to be done about that. Because you can't evade forever, especially when they're hunting people down. So, be safe, guys. And don't kill somebody just because they're not you and your family. Some of the rest of us want to live too, but again, our humanity will be tested. Because there's a tendency to hoard rather than share. If you watch the movie The Postman, Kevin Costner goes over that discussion. So, alrighty. This is it for, I guess, for now. So again, hopefully a scenario that will allow you to go to 191 and the 70, that Green River turnoff.